Our next session will focus on the world's best solutions ready to reach the Indian shores. Get ready for it. To make this presentation, we have an entrepreneur and go-getter, an expert in India's parking intricacies, a first-generation entrepreneur. He launched Central Parking Services, or CPS, in 2005 to support the existing parking requirements of India's booming retail segment. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Managing Director, Central Parking Services, or CPS, Mr. N. Satyanarayanan.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know that this is the post-lunch session, so there's a bit of weariness that comes in, being busy day and a half with some excellent presentations. When I was trying to put together this presentation, really the thought was to look back at the last 10 years where we've been designing, putting together and operating parking lots and see, what the future holds. How is parking going to be designed, put together and managed? So that's really what this presentation is all about. Also, there's a small AV clip that I'm going to quickly run through. So some of the thoughts that have come to us in the last day and a half is, people have been talking of experiences, people have been talking of innovation, advancements in technology, big data. I think these are some of the things that are going to impact the way that shopping malls are built and run in the next decade. And these are exactly some of the things that are also going to impact parking. So when I look at parking, how relevant parking is, the kind of designs that we do, the kind of technology that we use, I can tell you that it's not working. I can tell you that it's not working. I mean, it's not working every time that there's a queue after a movie show and there is a queue for about 20 minutes and you take 20 minutes to exit out of the parking. Every time that you find a mall which doesn't have sufficient parking, or a mall which is fairly large and has, parking which is not very well optimized. So there are many, many things which are not working. There are also some basic things that have, working in the last 10 years. So I'm quickly going to run through some of these aspects. Now, when I looked at, how parking must be designed in terms of adequacy, clearly I've tried to put them together in 3 buckets, say up to about 2 lakh square feet, up 2 lakh square feet to about 4.5 lakh square feet GLA, and 4.5 lakh square feet upwards. Clearly what I find is when I talk of parking adequacy, it's not really the municipal norms, but what is a parking which is a real parking requirement to run the center. And when I look at most of the centers which are less than about 2 lakh square feet, I find that the parking adequacy norms are grossly insufficient, grossly inadequate. We don't have sufficient parking, and we find that people are, all over, people are, they don't have sufficient parking. The entire ingress-egress design is very poor. You find ramps which are very narrow, which are very steep. You find circulation is also very poorly designed. Overall, I think the entire experience in some of the smaller malls we find to be, very far away from being desired. Now, the other ratio that we also take into account, especially when we talk of Tier 1, 2, and 3 cities, is the ratio of cars to bikes. Now, this is a ratio which kind of varies across the country. It can be a different number in Delhi, it can be a different number in Bhopal, it can be a different number in Cochin, it can be a different number in Hyderabad, Bangalore, etc., etc. So I think some of the smaller, malls, what we find is that bike parking is not something which is provided for, something that has to be worked upon. I think also primarily this category of mall, kind of comes on that FSI maximization kind of a criteria. So people are trying to maximize how much space that they can generate, for the retail. So I think that's a bit of an issue, and I think that's something that we would want to really focus on. I think the best case category really is the medium-sized malls. I think by and large most of the malls in the medium-sized category have done reasonably well across the country. And we find that the number of spaces available are fairly, well utilized. They're fairly optimum. The ingress-egress is fairly well designed. How do you take traffic from external roads to the mall, to the parking areas? All of that is well designed. Also, I think the traffic circulation and the ratio of cars to bike is fairly well designed. Overriding factor in all this that we must remember is that except a few municipalities, which have bylaws, most of them only ask for car parks. They don't really ask for two-wheeler parks to be a part of the sanction plan. So therefore, that's an inherent problem by itself. Now, the area that I would really like to highlight is the large malls. In the last 10 years, we see speaker upon speaker coming here talking about the importance of parking, how parking must be sufficient, etc., etc., etc. And we find that some of the larger malls have parking which are over-designed. So we find malls which are 1 million square feet GLA, and we find that the entire parking area is not really well utilized. So this is something which I wanted to leave behind. I think optimization of the size of the parking, I think, is key because there's a lot of money that goes in terms of the infrastructure itself. Again, the other point that I want to leave behind is in terms of the look and feel of the parking lot. I mean, worldwide, we have parking lots which are normally in two colors. I mean, India is the only country where we have, different colors being used on columns, on the ducts, on the floor. I mean, why? Why do we create a visual clutter? I mean, there are ways in which we want to create, column marking. You want to indicate where, a customer has parked his car. I think there are many, many ways to do it. We don't really have to create that clutter. So I think that's something that I really wanted to leave behind. There are many, many developers that I tell them to kind of keep the colors very easy, very pastel, but not being, very successful there. Again, one of the key issues that we find with technology and is the queuing at the exits. I know people who hate queues at the exit, and you have queues which are 20 minutes sometimes. I have been a victim myself. And you have lack of multiple channels of payment. Today, I think, especially in most of the larger Tier 1 cities, people want to have the option of paying through cash, through credit card, debit card, etc., etc. Also through a mobile app, maybe. So I think this is something which is something very, very far away from being desired. So the way that I look at parking lot version number 2, the parking lots that we wish to do in the next 5 years, clearly will move away from pay-on-exit system. We'll have auto-pay stations, central cashier systems, where you can make a payment by apps. You have premium valet services with parking reservation. Clearly, today a guest comes in, and he doesn't find the parking space. He has tickets for his favorite Shah Rukh Khan movie. He's not a very happy man. I mean, I don't know if he's really going to come back again. So I think valet service is very, very important in terms of creating that experience for a guest, especially for the higher-end guest. Parking guidance system. I want to know how many spaces are really available. They're not, especially in some of the smaller category of malls, we don't really find information in terms of how many spaces are available. So you find guests going around and around and not really finding the parking space. What we've been doing, one of the things that we've been doing now is to encourage the use of auto-pay stations. This is the way that, world, parks their cars. This is the way that payments are made in the parking lots. And one way that we have, kind of been a little successful is to kind of create a differential tariff. So if you pay at the exit, you pay, say, $10 more. If you pay at the machine, you pay 10 rupees less. So this encourages a lot of people to use the machine. It's because at the end of the day, parking is a habit. You get used to it, and you start, doing the same thing again. I spoke about credit card payments. One of the very important things that we are working on today is what kind of BI reports that we can create. How can we understand what the consumer is doing? How often is he coming to the mall? How long is he spending? Et cetera, et cetera. I think this can be a very, very interesting data. I mean, I was just talking, and I think there are many insights that are coming in terms of how we can create some kind of metrics which tells us how the traffic has dropped if there is an online sale. I think those are very interesting ideas. I think they are something that can be clearly done. I think also the other aspect that I want to talk about is I think cost of people is going up. I think we're going to have much lesser number of people. Our target really is to have 30% less people in the parking lots. They're multi-skilled, they are better paid, they're optimized. So we have better paid people, multi-skilled. Also, what happens is that technology reduces the number of people required. So I think, especially things like parking guidance system, reduce the number of people required, and the integration between technology and operation. I think this is a very, very key aspect for us in the way that parking lots are clearly designed, built, and operated upon. I'm just going to show you one AV of a mall that I've seen in Korea and Japan. This is a technology which is very, very prevalent in
Customers enter by pulling out the ticket and receiving the parking information of the floor on the entry dashboards. Once customers enter the area, they are guided of the available parking space to easily park in their desired area. Once you park at an empty space following the green light turns off, and if the space is full, the light turns red. The parking analyzer that interworks with ultrasonic sensors automatically shoots the parking, analyzes the vehicle number, which is real-time monitored in the control center. Customers coming into the building can search the details of each floor or each store through the kiosk for convenient use of the facilities. Customers can receive multi-discount when paying the parking fee by the barcode on the receipt, vouchers, and discount information from the discount certification machine. The discounts are aggregated and analyzed in each area. The parking fee can be charged depending on the customer's choice, such as cash, credit cards, or transportation cards. The location of the vehicle can be determined through the vehicle number through the unattended fee adjustment machine as well as kiosk. If you check the vehicle number through the location checking system on the kiosk, it shows the vehicle image and its location. The screen will show prepaid vehicle for payment cleared vehicles, and the parking charges will show for vehicles with parking charges. The path to the floor, area, and the parking lot of the vehicle will be shown on the screen by pressing on Location Check button. Also, it provides the information of near subway stations and bus routes. The available parking spaces are updated in real time by the ultrasonic sensors when the vehicle pull out, red and green light, and the dashboards in each parking area. By displaying the exit direction, we help customers to easily exit their vehicles. Prepaid vehicles and regular vehicles are exited automatically by comparing the vehicle number recorded, whereas vehicles with parking charges will be exited upon payment. The outer appearance of the vehicle when pulled in and out will be monitored in real time at the control center. When customers press the alarm bell in emergency situations in the parking lot, the control center agent will notice the location and flashing of the alarm bell through the monitor screen and order immediate action of the district manager. The CCTV cameras and parking lot analyzers nearby will be interworked to record the situation of the scene. The parking analyzer records the desired area of every corner of the lot by rotating 360 degrees when not analyzing vehicle numbers, enhancing security levels. The control center monitors the overall parking status in real time, and the status of general parking, long-term parking, and parking available is separated by colors, which is easily noticeable. This also makes it clear to recognize the information of the vehicle in the parking lot. The parking information is diversely aggregated and analyzed so customers can enjoy fast, accurate, and pleasant parking environment, and the administrators can expect lowered labor costs due to improved management efficiency thanks to our Amano system.
Yeah, so I think a couple of things which are, I think what you saw in the video, saw the integration between security and parking firstly. Second is the feature to find your car. I think that's very useful. You can go to a mall directory, find your car. Also, I think the fact that you can exit out of the mall just by your number plate being recorded there. And once the number plate is recorded, you can kind of build up a lot of reports in terms of building individual customer profiles, person who owns the car, how many times he comes, et cetera, et cetera. So I think this is something which I find is being used increasingly in many, many shopping centers in Korea and Japan. I saw close to about 20 shopping malls in Japan, both Tokyo, Yokohama, Nagoya, which use this kind of a technology. So I I'm ending my presentation here and love to take some questions later, maybe during the panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and a warm round of applause for Mr. N. Satyanarayanan.